AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. We are not in the Raising Cane studio today. We are at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney's office for a very special day. It is the Get Gordon Bicycle Giveaway. Gordon's giving away 600 bicycles to less fortunate children all over the state of Louisiana. We're thrilled to be here for that today. If you're actually driving down I-10, passing college with the giant inflatables and all the flags, like I'm looking right at you on the interstate. You and that big giant white 18-wheeler, I'm looking at you right now. So thanks for hanging out with us here on today's show. We got a ton to do today. ESPN's Louis Riddick in 15 minutes. Gordon is with us 1 hour from right now, talking Lane Kiffin, NA, all of that. Houston head coach Willie Fritz, top of hour 3. Mike Triplett will be here. Ton to do. Let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
While we were on air on Wednesday, the news broke about Michigan head coach Sherrone Moore being fired for cause. We have since gotten further information as the University of Michigan has effectively announced via statement that they fired Moore for cause due to an inappropriate relationship with a staffer. We also know that on Wednesday evening, Sherrone Moore was arrested and detained. There have been a lot of internet rumors running rampant. I'm not here to rumor monger until something is credibly reported. I'm not going to talk about it. And we're going to talk about the story, but not the particulars about the why he was arrested or anything further that's been rumored to be out there. When we have things firm from credible sources, we'll talk about it. But in the meantime, this is obviously a critically important story because the tidal wave of this news story that emanates from Ann Arbor, Michigan, the ripple effects are in fact going to touch Baton Rouge or could touch Baton Rouge. So we have got to talk about this because there are reports that Alabama coach Kalen DeBoer could be at the top of Michigan's list. Brian Kelly is reportedly on Michigan's list. Lane Kiffin, could the ripple affect the LSU coach? And then, of course, there is the Bryce Underwood conversation. So I want to kind of touch on all of this. Let us start with what is most immediate and pressing as it pertains to all of us here, which is the Lane Kiffin piece of this, okay? First of all, there was one very prominent Michigan booster, Barstool's Dave Portnoy, who did, in fact, tweet on Wednesday night, let's go get Lane Kiffin. Whatever LSU's paying him, let's double it. Let's go get Lane Kiffin. Well, Lane Kiffin never one to shy away from Twitter engagement and trolling, which is actually hilarious. It was hilarious before he ever became the LSU coach. Lane Kiffin went and quote tweeted Dave Portnoy and effectively said, hey, instead of me going to Michigan, why don't you hashtag come to the boot, which I love that so much. He said, together we can't be beat. So I don't think that Lane Kiffin would be a realistic option for Michigan. One of the other things that I heard throughout the entire process with Lane Kiffin being courted by LSU is that he hates the cold. So one of the thoughts that he might end up at Penn State was sort of laughable because he prefers water and boats in warm weather and would never live in the Midwest or where it's cold. So I don't think that that's realistic. Kalen DeBoer is interesting because Kalen DeBoer actually does make sense. And all of the sports books that have put out odds, Bovada, Bet Online, all of them have Kalen DeBoer as the betting favorite to be the next Michigan coach. For what it's worth, Josh Pate was on Get Up on ESPN. Love Josh, great dude. He agreed that, DeBoer needs to be at the top of the list.
I would make Kalen DeBoer tell me no. And I would make him tell me no because he comes from my part of the country. I think he understands the gravity of the kind of job that Michigan is because he understands the kind of gravity of the job that Alabama is. Now, what you don't know that is widely speculated in the market is, will he even listen to me? But I'm Michigan, so I've got that block M on my chest. So I've got the audacity to think anyone would listen to me, and that would be the first one. And then I would work my way down the list from there.
Okay, so Matt sitting in Baton Rouge can say it. It'll only hold so much weight. But sports books put Kalen DeBoer at the top of their list. For example, Bovada today has DeBoer plus 160. Next is Jed Fish at plus 350. Bet Online actually has more one-sided odds that we shared with you a day ago, like while we were still on the air. DeBoer at Bet Online is a 4-1. Jesse Minter was next at 5-1. So forgive me, that's plus 400. Jesse Minter plus 500. So actually the Bovada odds today, a day later, are even more in favor of DeBoer. I know there's naturally going to be the people that ask, well, if DeBoer leaves Alabama for Michigan, and we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but we can have this conversation and play the what-if game. But if DeBoer were to leave Alabama for Michigan, Alabama came open, would Alabama go pursue Lane Kiffin? Maybe. But I would also point out a couple of things. Number one, Alabama did not pursue Lane Kiffin 2 years ago when they hired Kalen DeBoer, when they could have hired him away from Ole Miss and didn't. Lane Kiffin does have a contract at LSU, whereby, as I looked it up last night, he's got a $7 million buyout if he were to leave. Now, that would be certainly a pittance and worth paying if that's the coach you wanted to get. I just find it very hard to believe that Lane Kiffin would leave LSU after a month. I mean, maybe. He's Lane Kiffin. I mean, he'll leave his team in the middle of a playoff run. I mean, he got fired. He's the same guy. Got fired on the tarmac. He's the guy who had it out with Al Davis back with the Raiders, left Tennessee in the middle of the night after 1 year. I mean, maybe. It's the game you play with Lane Kiffin if you're dancing in if you're swimming in those waters. I don't think it's plausible, but is it possible? I guess, sure. Maybe the more interesting possibility here, anyway, is the Brian Kelly component of it. And by the way, Chris Canty on Sportsmanlike on ESPN Radio here Thursday morning effectively lobbied for Brian Kelly to be Michigan's choice.
Brian Kelly. This is somebody that, from a cultural standpoint, fits the geographical footprint that Michigan is in. Brian Kelly still knows how to coach teams. Brian Kelly still knows how to coach quarterbacks. Last time I checked, you got an uber-talented kid that you invested a hell of a lot of NIL money in Bryce Underwood. And you got to make sure that you retain him. You got to make sure that you make him happy. Now, it would be a tough sell to the Michigan fans, but in terms of somebody that understands how to run a big-time program that's not going to wilt under the pressure, to me, it just seems like a hire based on the timeline that makes a ton of sense.
It does make sense. Brian Kelly's available, first and foremost. It's not going to cost you anything to buy him out of his contract, or you're not going to have to wait through a playoff. He is 64 years old. Is that something that Michigan's interested in? I don't know. Could it be a short-term bridge to a long-term option? Maybe. Would Brian Kelly be interested? Absolutely. He coached, obviously, at Grand Valley. He coached at Central Michigan. As I understand from covering Brian Kelly for 4 years, he has great respect and reverence for Michigan and the winged helmet and all that stuff from all the time he spent in the state of Michigan. So I have no doubt that if Brian Kelly wants to coach again and Michigan were interested, he would be interested in them. The question is Michigan interested in Brian Kelly? And I don't know the answer to that question. And then there's the Bryce Underwood component, which you just heard Chris Canty mention. And that is fascinating because Underwood in this era certainly could leave. And I know there's the perception of the $12 million NIL, which, I mean, look, I was the one that reported that minutes after Bryce Underwood flipped. And nobody has argued against that number because it's the right number. But I was also explained a year ago that the way that was structured was not $12 million up front. It was $3 million per year. So if Bryce Underwood were to leave after 1 year, it's not like he would owe Michigan $9 million for not finishing out his contract. But the bottom line is, if Bryce Underwood wanted to hit the transfer portal, there's no more attractive place in college football this year for a quarterback than LSU. There's no incumbent. You have a treasure chest of NIL and brand deal money to spend. You have a plethora of athletes around, and you'll be coached by Lane Kiffin, who has maximized Trinidad Chambliss, turned Jackson Dart into a first-rounder, made Matt Corral an all-conference caliber quarterback. Like, everywhere he goes, quarterbacks produce and offense follows. So there would be a very, very strong case to be made for Bryce Underwood to pick LSU if, in fact, he did hit the transfer portal. So we'll keep an eye on all of those things, because the Michigan story, as such a gigantic brand in this sport, what happens at Michigan will have ripple effects that touch everything. And as this second wave of the coaching carousel spins, yes, what happens at Michigan will be critically important to the future, or could be critically important to the future at LSU. So we will absolutely follow it here. Okay, it's after further review. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing all over the state of Louisiana. DecisionCriticalBR.com. We're at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys for Gordon's bicycle giveaway. Thrilled to be here. G is going to sit with us in about 45 minutes from right now. Let me knock out a quick break. Louis Riddick is here next. He was one of the earliest and loudest champions of Tyler Shough, and my goodness, does he look good right now. We'll talk to Louis Riddick next on AFR.
AFR.
REV. Let'sRev.com. 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 Get to the website to learn more about Rev. If it's internet, cable, home automation, security, they do all of it. They do it better than anyone. And at Rev, they are local. 90 years in our local market. REV. Let'sRev.com. Let'sRev.com. And when you call Rev, you're never getting ushered off to some call center in another country. With Rev, you're dealing with local people right here in the greater Baton Rouge area. So you want lightning fast internet speeds up to 5 gigs, backed by an all fiber network and local support for 9 decades? You want Rev. I'm a Rev customer. Parish Construction and Roofing, Rev customers. Guarantee Media, Rev customers. You need to switch as well. So get in touch today at Let'sRev.com. REV. Let'sRev.com.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com.
First and 10 at the 35. Shough keeps it left side. Inside the 30. Shough 20. Shough 10. Tyler Shough. Touchdown for Tyler Shough, running the football all the way from 34 yards out.
I think we knew Tyler Shough could sling it. Not sure I knew he had the wheels, the escapability. Just didn't spend a lot of time talking about that in the pre-draft process. Tyler Shough maybe didn't have any louder champion leading up to and after the draft than Louis Riddick from ESPN, who's good enough to join us for a couple of minutes here because, boy, is he looking to be really smart on this one. Hey, Louis, we appreciate the time, man. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Awesome. If the Saints have a franchise quarterback. All right, what did you see? Remind us all, what did you see pre-draft in Tyler Shough that maybe many overlooked?
Yeah. Well, I think it's the things that I saw but didn't make a big, gigantic, dramatic story out of, which is, look, I understand Tyler is 25-plus years old. I understand that he had an injury history in a long 6-year career in college. But I knew, like, the story behind the injuries and how they happened and how sometimes that's just a part of football, that he's not someone who is necessarily injury prone relative to how he was used when he was in college, when he was at the Fox previous to Louisville. And number two, his age really doesn't mean anything in a day and age where we got guys coming out of retirement who are 45 years old, okay?
No.
It's not like we haven't seen quarterbacks playing into their mid to late 30s anyway. So let's just say at the very most, if you got a decade out of Tyler Shough, Wouldn't that be something that someone would want if you did a decade's worth of franchise caliber quarterback play? That being said, so those were two things that people were they just took that low-hanging fruit and were like, this guy can't be worth a damn. Why the hell would you draft this guy? I mean, look how long he played in college, and look how old he is. And look at his injury history. Number two, when he went to the combine, do you remember the one throw that everyone kept running on a loop as far as him trying to do kind of like a different arm angle slot type of throw, like a no-look pass at the combine? I knew he was going to do that. He wanted to show people that he had a different type of skill set, a very unique type of skill set, but he also realized that wasn't a real smart thing to do in that setting. So he didn't do it anymore, and he wound up having a great workout. Now, once I got past all that crap, which everyone wanted to hang on, I went down to Louisville twice last year. I saw him play twice in 2024. Jeff Brom is a good friend of mine. His brother, Brian Brom, coaches it down there. I talked to Tyler twice. I watched him play against SMU. I studied his tape against Miami. I called their game against Clemson when he went into Death Valley and beat them last year. The kid has got size. He's got speed. He's got good feet. He's got a great arm. He's got a huge capacity from a football intellect standpoint. He played a pro-style offense. He can make every single throw. He can run 4.64 in the 40. He's a family guy. He's very dependable, very trustworthy. I mean, there really wasn't a whole lot not to like about him. And then when you threw him the tape, I mean, it was all there. The one thing that you wanted to see with Tyler once he got to the pros and as he continued to grow was you wanted to see poise under pressure, poise under duress. Nice, calm mind, calm body, calm feet in the pocket when people were really bearing down on him. Because he showed it in spurts. It needed to be more consistent when he was at Louisville. You're seeing that now. You're seeing Kellen has tapped into that to the point where, obviously, let's just say this. The kid is locked into the offense pretty damn good at this point, to the point where you don't see any of that nervousness in the pocket. You don't see any of that, holding on to the football too long. The ball is out. He's decisive where he wants to go, and he can run, as we saw against Tampa. Now, I know that's a long-ass answer right there, but I'll tell you what. Had people looked at that stuff instead of going, wait a minute, look how old he is and look how many times he's been hurt. We don't want him. Well, maybe then now you would have been going, well, I think I can see why this kid's playing pretty darn good.
Yeah.
And that's why the Saints, look, there's a long way to go for him. But the Saints are looking pretty damn smart, in particular Kellen Moore.
Hey, Lewis, by the way, talk radio is great because you can have long-ass answers, and that's why we have you on us to talk. So you talk as long as you want to talk about this, and I'll shut up and listen. So, okay, 5 starts in. I'm going to ask you to dig a little deeper because you scratched the surface there, but 5 starts in from the first start against the Rams to what we saw this last week against Tampa. Where have you seen the most progression in 5 starts?
I think it's that calmness that I'm talking about. It's the confidence, the body language, the ability, no matter what the situation is, to remain calm, to not look like someone who's starting to come apart at the seams, starting to have bad reads, starting to have happy feet, starting to want to bail out of the pocket when nothing is there, turning the football over unnecessarily, forcing the ball in the double. I mean, of course there's going to be mistakes, but it's the composure that you continue to see become better and better and better and better. But he's going to have errant reads. He's going to have misfires. But to me, the level of comfort that he is continuing to push higher and higher every week, look, there's no better validation of that than when you have team leaders like the Mario Davis kind of putting their stamp on it. When you have former people from the area and guys like Tyrann Mathieu go, hey, I think we may have one here. I think we've got our guy. Players don't always know, but players know. Players can really identify guys who they say, hey, I'll follow that dude. And they'll also tell you guys who they won't follow. They're telling you they'll follow this kid after 5 starts.
Yeah. He's on Twitter at Riddick ESPN. He's Louis Riddick, good enough to hang out with us here for a couple of minutes. Okay, one of the big questions, Louis, we've had here is, how do you evaluate Tyler Shough? And it was similar with Spencer Rattler when, quite honestly, The Saints aren't a good team. The offensive line is banged up. They traded away Rashid Shaheed. Alvin Kamara's hurt. Like, you don't even have a full complement of NFL weapons around him. So what is realistic to look at with this team? And then how do you project a guy if you actually do put talent around him?
Yeah, you see, that's always a question people ask, and I understand why. But there's a way about going about your craft, regardless of who's around you, that can give you, as an evaluator, some semblance of, or enough data to where you could project comfortably, well, this is probably what this would look like if he did have a full complement of weapons around him in terms of blocking, weapons on the perimeter, a good, stable running back situation. And a lot of times it's not going to be reflective in 300-yard passing games, 3 touchdowns a game, QBR of 9. Sometimes it's not going to come out in the objective data like that. And so there's you're going to have to do some projecting. But there's also things that these guys, meaning the Saints organization, are privy to that no one else is. They see him every day from the moment he walks in the building to how he takes care of his body, to how he acts in meetings, to how he is in walkthroughs, to how he is in 7-on-7, and team, and red zone, and 2-minute and third down situation, what he's like post-practice, what he's like in the post-practice meetings. They have access to all that info that allows them to make an even better assessment about as to whether or not when the situation's better for him, as far as his health, he may go from here to way up here. And I think with him, that's what they're going to wind up doing. Yeah. And he's giving you no reason to think otherwise at this point. The only reason why you wouldn't make that jump with him relative to all the things you're talking about that he doesn't have is because you had it in your mind before he even got in there. This guy ain't good enough. He's just not good enough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and confirm my bias with all the negative data points that support what my preconceived notion about him was. And that's what people have done to him from day one. From the time he went to the Senior Bowl, all the way through the combine, through the draft. He's going to have to fight that until he has one of those 3,500, 4,000-yard seasons, 30 touchdown seasons, and takes the Saints to the playoffs. And even then it'll change. Then it'll change to, well, hell, anybody could do this with all these weapons. You know what I mean?
At that point, Lewis, I don't care about the narrative, brother. I just want to see the Saints back in the playoffs.
Well, you know what I'm saying.
No, of course, of course. Yes, of course.
There's plenty of quarterbacks who have great seasons, who then people say, well, hell, I could do that if I had those weapons. And then there's quarterbacks who don't have a damn thing working in their favor, and they go, well, look at him, he sucks. It's like, well, do you see who he's throwing to? Do you see what his offensive line looks like? And people go, I don't give a damn, he sucks. And that's because of their own bias.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of times that's what happens. Simple as that.
Yeah. Confirmation bias is a real thing. There's no doubt. Hey, last thing, I want to be respectful of your time. I want to ask you one about how Tyler Shough fits in what Kellen Moore's trying to do, because we also had this conversation about, look, he was an OC with Dak Prescott and with Jalen Hurts, guys that have a very dynamic running ability. We also saw Justin Herbert, phenomenal arm talent, maybe not quite the runner those guys are. How does Tyler Shough fit into what Kellen Moore, from what you see and what you know about Kellen Moore, what he wants to do?
Yeah, I think the thing is, as you just mentioned, look, Kellen can adapt to just about any kind of quarterback, which is the great thing about him, which is what makes him, I think, uniquely qualified to wind up having a guy like him. See, there's certain quarterback coaches that you just don't, quarterback coaches, OCs, head coaches, who you feel comfortable bringing in just about any type of quarterback because he'll craft a system, obviously with its basic fundamental, tenets to it, but you'll craft a system that's specifically geared towards this guy throws over the middle better, this guy throws the deep 20-yard out better, this guy throws the big post down the field better, this guy's a good zone read guy, this guy's a good QB run guy. Kellen can do all that. He can craft it, he's done it. So with Tyler, as you saw, you have a guy who can run a lot of quarterback design run or RPOs or zone read. Do you want to put him in that situation? Do you want to get him banged up like that? Probably not. That's a little more of a change up than what's necessary. Tyler's a great rhythm passer, whether it be from gun, pistol, or under center. He has enough arm strength to hit the ball, throw the ball over the middle, layer the ball over the middle, drive the ball in the deep outs, throw the deep ball. As you've seen him hit the 9 routes on the outside. There's really nothing he can't do. So for Kellen, it's just about week by week, what do we need from him and how do we utilize him best? And that's, I know people would probably be sitting here thinking, well, damn, who are we talking about? Patrick Mahomes? I mean, damn, we're talking about Tyler Shough. But, see, that's the thing, right? What's going to happen is, and this is what I hope happens. Honest to God, this is what I hope happens. He is going to, if things break right for him and management can surround him the way that he needs to, that every quarterback needs to be surrounded, like you're talking about, like some of the things they don't have that they get for him. The coaching staff remains stable. Even the assistants, they remain stable. And this kid continues to ascend. There's really, to me, there's nothing he can't do. And I'll just leave you with this. There's a very, 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 very smart head coach in the NFL right now who's tutored some pretty damn good quarterbacks, who thought that this guy was maybe the best pure thrower in the entire draft last year, period. So take that for what it's worth. And that's not me just saying that. That's the truth. And that's why this guy, I really do think that the Saints fans and the Saints organization, they got a guy who a couple of years from now, people are going to be going, man, was I like way too low on this guy?
Well, your words carry a lot of weight. You saw it before so many others did. So we appreciate the time. Louis Riddick, ESPN, at LRiddick, ESPN. You'll give him a follow on Twitter. We'll probably bother you again at some point down the line, man. We appreciate you so much for your time.
I hope so. All right, man. Take care.
It's our pleasure. Louis Riddick, good stuff. Our Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing in Baton Rouge. We are here at Gordon McKernan's office today because special day, as this is the day where Gordon gives away 600 bicycles to less fortunate kiddos all over the state of Louisiana. Today, well, I should say today is the Baton Rouge Give Day. So Gordon will be with us in 30 minutes. We're looking forward to that convo, and just great to be here today. All right, it is After Further Review, brought to you by Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. Even though I'm on remote today, you better believe I got my bottle of Evamore right there. 64 ounces. Hey, look, this time of year, cold, flu, all that stuff going around. Great way to stay healthy is to stay hydrated. Make sure you carry your bottle of Evamore around with you all day. Stay hydrated, drinking a healthier product, natural artesian water. Drink Evamore, EVAMOR, Evamore.com, Evamore.com. All right, y'all, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. We will have our Fantasy Blitz in 15 minutes. Our buddy Darren Tietkin will be here, so get your questions in, whotostart.net. You can email us, tweet us, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. We'll go around the SEC when we come back, and an awesome announcement today from LSU along with Nike on a day where one of the players that is involved in the LSU Nike NIL deal also received a pretty cool honor from the SEC. So we'll get to all that as we continue. Glad you're hanging out with us here on this Thursday edition of AFR.
AFR.
It is not too late, y'all. As a matter of fact, you're right on time. 2 weeks from today, we will wake up, we'll dash into the den or wherever it may be, and we'll see what Santa dropped under that tree. But the bottom line is, if you don't have a tree, Santa can't leave presents under the tree, so you better go get a tree. And the best place to go get that Christmas tree is Clegg's Nursery. Any of their 4 locations in Greater Baton Rouge, Siegner Airline, LA 16 in Denham, Mid-City on Donmore, and the Garden Center on Greenwell Springs. Tell you every day to buy local and shop local over at Clegg's Nursery. And look, man, still an amazing selection of Christmas trees. Also, poinsettias grown locally in their greenhouses, and their shipments arrive almost daily. So make sure you get by any of the 4 Clegg's Nursery locations. Buy local, shop local, tell them Matt sent you to Clegg's Nursery.
After Further Review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at decisioncriticalbr.com.
Glad to have you back with us here. We are at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney's main office here in Baton Rouge on the bicycle giveaway day. Awesome to see all the kiddos in the parking lot getting their bicycles. So many smiles for young people. What a great time of year to be here, and great to be partnered with Gordon. Gordon's going to be here in 25 minutes with us. He'll sit with us for a couple of segments. We'll talk about the bike giveaway, but I want to talk a lot of other stuff too. We'll talk NIL. We'll talk Lane Kiffin, Gordon's role in all of this sort of stuff as well, future of NIL. G team, everything. We'll get into all that with Gordon coming up. Very relevant because on this day, LSU and Nike jointly announced the launch of Nike's Blue Ribbon Elite program. So this is not, it's important to note, this is not, say, what Texas A&M did last year, where Texas A&M and Adidas jointly announced NIL deals. Well, the way apparel deals work is the apparel company, say in LSU's case, Nike, will pay, like their deal is part cash and part gear, right? So Nike will pay LSU a cash sum, and part of the contract will be executed in apparel. Shirt, short, Blake Baker's gold hoodie, cleats, all the stuff, right? Well, what A&M did, I presume, is they told Adidas, hey, instead of giving us the cash component, take that cash component and go do NIL deals with our student athletes. I think Tennessee did something similar. You saw the five-star receiver out of Mississippi who committed to Tennessee. I'm blanking on his name, but y'all know who I'm talking about. This, as I understand it, is not that. This is separate, true third-party NIL where Nike could have started with any school in America. Big brands, Georgia, Alabama, Ohio State, Southern Cal, Penn State, big Michigan, big Nike brand schools. And they didn't start with any of them. Nike started with LSU. Why did Nike start with LSU? Because LSU not only has the brand, and it's all things like literally the brand, the department that LSU started called the brand, where it's all focused on these exact things. But the brand that has produced Olivia Dunn and Paul Skeens and Flau'jae and Angel Reese and Dylan Cruz and Joe Burrow and Jaden Daniels and down the list. Even the non-revenue sports where you look at Mondo Duplantis and Sha'Carri Richardson and Lolo Jones, like LSU is Shaq. LSU is a huge brand. So you have all of that, but LSU also has done a masterful job in the last year and a half, 2 years of preparing for this to be able to execute these deals, to facilitate deals, to handle things like taxes and disbursements and payments to the student athletes, and then managing the deliverables and allocating resources to be able to help with things like video and all that sort of stuff. It's one of the, listen, go back to when Lane Kiffin was hired. I asked him the question how much the NIL plan meant to him deciding to come to LSU. Remember what he said?
Verge and his team had a really, really good plan. Even talked to some donors that are part of that plan here to see exactly how does that work. This was the best setup. That definitely played a factor into it.
And at the end of that soundbite, he talks about how the contracts that he was offered for him were similar, but the NIL plans were not similar, that LSU's was far and away the best. That's the legwork that this team has done for things like this. So you want to know why Lane Kiffin looked in was like, LSU's plan is the best. This is a big part of that. By the way, the 10 athletes, Kalen Shough, all different sports. Kalen Shough from gymnastics, who's awesome. Alondra and I got to meet Kalen on the Nashville trip with our friends at Our Lady of the Lake. Another obvious great corporate partner of LSU, championship health partner that's done a ton of NIL deals as well with student athletes. Kalen Shough among them. But Kalen Shough, Derek Curiel, Tori Edwards, Kaysen Evans, Trades Green, Jaden Havener, Zakiah Johnson, DJ Pickett, Journey Robinson, and DJ Thomas. And by the way, congrats to DJ Pickett, who today was named freshman All-SEC along with Silas Hill, the LSU's freshman long snapper. So congrats to those guys for their much-deserved honor, and LSU for launching with Nike and their Blue Ribbon Elite program. All right, it is After Further Review. We are glad to have you hanging out with us here every single day. We're brought to you by Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, lmfj.com, lmfj.com. Lee Michaels not far from us. Actually, the corporate office is actually just across the street, but actually behind me, just across the street. But you go down corporate, There's Lee Michaels in Bocage, Mall of Louisiana, New Orleans, Lafayette, Shreveport. Gents, thinking of popping the question, holidays are upon us. Make sure you start at Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry, where they have an amazing selection. Because they buy for 10 stores and have that buying power, they can give you a great price to match the selection. It's Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. LMFJ.com. LMFJ.com for Lee Michaels Fine Jewelry. All right, Muse, hand it off to you. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky is expected to hire Texas A&M defensive coordinator Jay Bateman in the same capacity that Matt Zenitz of CBS Sports had at first. 52 years old, second season with A&M, also coached the linebackers over there. First known defensive hire for Will Stein's staff in Lexington. Did not call defensive plays under Elko this past season, so this will give him full autonomy of a defense once again.
Texas A&M!
As for the Aggies, they're expected to promote associate head coach Lyle Hemphill to defensive coordinator to replace Jay Bateman. Gig'em 247 confirmed that on Thursday. Mike Elko made significant changes to the defense this past season, including the hiring of Hemphill and taking the play calling duties over. Before the Aggies, Hemphill spent a season as the DC and safeties coach at James Madison.
The Auburn Tigers.
Auburn has hired former Tennessee defensive coordinator Tim Banks to be their new safeties coach. He was the DC at Tennessee during Golish's 2 seasons there as the offensive coordinator. This will now be the third SEC defensive coordinator from the 2025 season on the Auburn coaching staff.
The Texas Longhorns.
Texas safety Derek Williams Jr. has entered the transfer portal. 3 years at Texas. Finished with 29 career games played, including 3 starts. Out of high school, went to Westgate in Louisiana, was the number 66 overall prospect in the class of 2023.
The South Carolina Gamecocks.
And then lastly, 2 South Carolina defensive backs have declared for the NFL draft. Those are Jalen Kilgore and Brandon Cisse. Cisse spent 1 year with the Gamecocks. Of course, Kilgore started 33 games over 3 seasons. That's around the SEC.
Kilgore started 33 games. I knew that offhand, Muse, of course. All right, it's after further review. Thanks, Muse. We appreciate it. We're going to knock out a break. We're here at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney's office. We're presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing, not just healthcare. It's healthcare for your lifestyle. Give Blasia and the crew a call over at DecisionCriticalBR.com. Let me knock out a break, come back. We'll do our Fantasy Blitz. Before you set your fantasy roster, check with our guys at whotostart.net, who2start.net. Get your questions in. Email us, tweet us, or text us. Fantasy Blitz is next as we wrap up hour number 1 of AFR.
After further review.
AFR is brought to you by River Cities 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. Hey, I want to remind you that you can save $30 on any system repair or on your preseason heater tune-up and safety inspection when you mention the show. Call River Cities 1 Hour Air and have them come out to the house. Love sharing these 5-star Google reviews. Mike Palmisano, shout out. Paisan. 1 Hour Air should feel honored to have Russell M. as part of their team. He performed preventative maintenance on our system, was extremely thorough and professional. I was truly impressed with his knowledge. He took the time to explain preventative maintenance options the company offers, which I highly recommend. Excellent service all around. Another 5-star review. By the way, River Cities 1 Hour Air has more than double the amount of 5-star reviews of the next closest competitor because they've been doing it for 40 years better than anyone else. 1hourbr.com or call 752-0001 where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After further review with Matt Moscona, presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. Healthcare for your lifestyle. Learn more at DecisionCriticalBR.com. After further review, this is the Fantasy Football Blitz.
Do you know who I am?
Powered by whotostart.net.
Who the hell are you?
whotostart.net. The Fantasy Football Blitz.
Who the bitten?
This is the Fantasy Football Blitz, powered by whotostart.net.
Who are you?
Let's get it. We're wrapping up hour number 1. Thursday shows are presented by Decision Critical Concierge Nursing. We are live today at Gordon McKernan Injury Attorney's main office for the bicycle giveaway. Celebrities like Will Helmer show up, which is just so good. Let's get to our Fantasy Blitz. Darren Tietkin, who2start.net, the numeral 2, who2start.net. Darren, how are you, man?
I'm doing good, Matt. How are you guys doing today?
Doing awesome. Ready for the start of our football weekend. We got an NFC South battle tonight, Atlanta, Tampa. Tampa really needs this one, man. Who are we keeping an eye on tonight?
Yeah, it looks like we're going to get some more wide receivers back for the Bucs. Mike Evans and Jalen McMillan are supposed to be back. I would expect Mike Evans to be 100%. He didn't have a lower body injury. He had a collarbone injury. So if that thing's healed, then he should be good to go, and he should be in your lineups if you have him on your team. And then for the Falcons, it looks like Drake London is out again. So look for Kyle Pitts to kind of pick up some of the slack.
Remember, get your questions in. Email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Always ask for a few sleepers. D, who are we looking at?
Yeah, we've got a couple for you. First, at running back, we have Michael Carter, who's kind of the pass-catching back for the Cardinals. Looks like Trey Benson's not going to play at all the rest of this year. So him and Bam Knight will share the responsibilities for the running backs for the Cards. Game script probably favors Carter since they're going to be behind, so he may get you 5 or 6 catches actually in a handful of runs. So Michael Carter would be the running back sleeper for us this week. Then at wide receiver, we were liking Ricky Pearsall from the Niners. Had kind of a quiet year, fighting off injuries in the beginning of the year, dealing with a backup quarterback towards the middle of the season, and then just kind of fighting for targets with George Kittle. Now that we're at the end of the season, looks like Pearsall is probably a good play for you.
Make sure you get your questions in. Email us, tweet us, or text 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. All teams off bye, so we are headed toward the playoffs. Let's get to your questions. Let's start with Steven, who said, hey, Darren, Devontae Adams, or he says he's got Devontae Adams, St. Brown, or Shaheed. Pick 2. So I guess that's a who to sit. Which 2 are you taking?
Yeah, I'm going to sit Shaheed there. He's just too boomer bust for me. I mean, he's the kind of guy. I mean, he was the same way with the Saints, where he either catch one ball for 15 yards or 3 balls for 100 and a touchdown. So he's not a volume type of guy. So especially if you're in a PPR league, I like Brown or St. Brown and Devontae Adams, who just catches a ton of touchdowns. So I'd go with those 2 over Shaheed.
Daryl says who to start. He needs 2. He's got Michael Pittman, Xavier Worthy, Christian Watson, or Franklin is the 4th. So he needs 2 of those 4.
I'm sitting the last 2. The other guys just have better matchups and are more regular targets for their respective quarterback. Other guys are in a time, not say a timeshare like a running back, but are in a bigger running or a wide receiver stable, if you will.
I'm not sure. Is Mike Evans going to play tonight, Darren? Do we know yet?
Yeah, I think he's been activated off the IR. Yeah. And the only reason they would do that would be to play him. Yeah. And like I said in the open, it was a collarbone injury. It wasn't like a knee or an high ankle sprain or anything like that. So once that collarbone is healed, I mean, he shouldn't be on a snap count or anything like that, or a snap restriction. So I think I'm playing him in one of my leagues where I really, really need that one other wide receiver. So I would play him.
Ronnie says he's got a question. He said it's PPR league. He needs 2. He's got Harold Fannin, Wan'Dale Robinson, Marvin Harrison Jr., or Mike Evans.
Let's see. I would go with Wan'Dale for sure in the PPR format. He's going to get peppered with targets. Boy. Who was the last one? I'm sorry, Matt.
No, you're good. It was Franklin. No, I'm sorry. It was Harold Fannin, Wan'Dale Robinson, Marvin Harrison, or Mike Evans. It needs 2.
Evans. I would go with Mike Evans. Yeah. Marvin Harrison Jr. is still nursing a heel injury. I don't think they're going to rush him back with nothing to play for. I think Mike Evans is your home run hitter there for that second wide receiver spot.
See if we get 2 more in. Randall says Sam Darnold or Jalen Hurts. Who to start?
Yeah, Jalen Hurts, man. He's on one of my bigger league teams, and I'm plugging him in and just wishing for the best. He's just too good and has the propensity to run for 5 or 6 times for 50, 60 yards. So I think you're going Jalen Hurts there, but let's keep your fingers crossed that he doesn't stink like he has the past couple of weeks.
Scott, this is a good dismount. He said, hey, Darren, help me feel better about taking Saquon 2nd overall and missing the playoffs by a game.
Ouch. Yeah, Saquon has been a disappointment. I don't know what it is. If it's the blocking, it's the scheme. I don't know if people have just warmed up to what he was doing last year, but you got to play him if you have him.
He's Darren Teakin, who2start.net. Win your league, numeral 2, who2start.net. Darren, we appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks as always.
All right, man, be well. It is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us. We're brought to you by Parish Restoration, parishrestoration.com. Kill mold, remove odor, other harmful pathogens. It doesn't matter if we're talking about a big commercial building like we're in today here at Gordon's office, your home, your vehicle. Maybe you had water intrusion. There's mold, mildew, little odor. Maybe it's pet odor, sweat odor, fire odor. You want to knock that out? Parish Restoration can help. They'll come spray their patented non-toxic dry fog. It's easy. Go to the website, fill out the form. They'll give you the estimate. Boom. It's more cost effective. It's more efficient. It's more effective. It's Parish Restoration. Parishrestoration.com. Parishrestoration.com. All right, y'all. AFR wrapping up hour number 2. We're excited. We're here at Gordon's office today, and G's going to join us here on site for the next couple of segments. I want to talk about Lane Kiffin, NIL, and, of course, the reason we're here, Gordon's bicycle giveaway. Hour 2 is next.
After Further Review.
As we wrap up our first hour, love reminding you about our friends over at Relief Windows. Brandon Holly's been such a great friend and great supporter for so many years, and they do such great work. And when I always talk about the job Relief Windows does, you know, if you're looking for windows, doors, siding, shutters, I mean, those products are commodities. You can get the same thing anywhere, right? I mean, a lot of people can sell you a window or a door, but what differentiates Relief Windows is the service. It's why Brandon always says our number one product is customer satisfaction. Brandon's told me for years, as a business owner, you have to be willing to spend your last dollar to make your customer happy. And when you do that, your reputation will be good, you'll do great work, and you'll obviously continue to get business. And it's worked for Relief Windows with a true lifetime transferable warranty on labor, material, and glass breakage. Learn more. Start at the website today at reliefwindows.com. That's online at reliefwindows.com.